Well, hello, traders and investors. This is LA Little, and this is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets. We do it from a neoclassical perspective each time, asking ourselves just one question. That's what happened today? What does it tell us about the coming ones? I do this show 4 times a week, every Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time, archived on YouTube. It's under the channel LA Little. If you haven't subscribed, reach up in the right hand corner, hit the subscription button each time content's pushed. You'll get a notification. As far as what did happen today, not a lot. We had some price pressure on the downside as a little bit of give back end of the month. I don't know that you can read a lot into it. Matter of fact, I'm not reading much into it. When we look at the charts here, you'll see why, but a little give back across the board. If you look overseas, you had some green, mostly in Europe. Europe was up bigger than that, but actually finished up pretty well. We'll look at those charts. Gold had a nice little pop today, and that was despite a stronger dollar, which was interesting. Gold just is getting tired of going down, it looks like. Down a huge percentage for the month, something on the order of 10%. Oil, same. Oil gets hammered back down one more time. This thing keeps hanging around $40 per barrel on the West Texas Intermediate. If we look at the charts themselves, there we're going to find not a lot happened today. So let's pull in the S&P 500, and here you can see some decent volume expansion today. And it was not only here; it was in Asia. There was some too in some of the particular sectors. I'm not sure what drove that. A lot of volume towards the end of the day for some reason. But anyway, it's just got a sideways range up here. I mean, nothing really happening up here. I don't know that today really tells you much of anything. Essentially you're coming back into this bar's high. And if we look at it right, it's just barely into it. It has a little bit more volume than it did there. But to me, this just looks like a little trading range up here. Mainly this area right here. I don't know that it means anything more than that. So, from the perspective of, does this tell us something? In my opinion, no, not really. I don't think there's anything there. If we look at some of the other indexes, though, in particular, if we look at the Russell, the Russell came off. There was some volume on it, but the way I read this particular chart is you actually tested the highs with a lot more volume. And you tested this high almost the same amount of volume. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Russell flip around and try to go back up tomorrow. If we look over at the NASDAQ itself, again, volume expansion, not sure what's causing it. But again, it's just hanging up here, tested higher, and in this case, tested lower too. So that one to me can go either way tomorrow. If we look overseas markets, we saw some huge volume come into these, and again, I'm not certain as to what drove the amount of volume that we saw on these charts, but if I look at, for example, Brazil, huge volume coming out of this thing as it comes down. Big swing in price, 48,000 down to 44, 10% in 5 days. Brazil is just getting whacked and getting whacked pretty good. If I look over at the Shanghai, for example, Shanghai had a decent amount of volume again, but that one actually went under back over, less volume, hammer reversal. That should try to head higher tonight. Japan had some volume coming out of it as it came off the top of volume expansion. So, and Korea, I noticed, had huge volume. Excuse me, huge price move down, not the volume. So, we had some movement in Asia, in some of these commodity countries, some big volume on them. Some of them look to be a continuation of a downside, but like China looks to me like it's going to flip around and go back the other way. If we go over to Europe, starting with the DAX pushes higher one more time. It doesn't want to stop as it continues to press towards new highs each and every day. Volume expansion again today. If we bring that weekly chart over on this one, it's well over the breakdown bar, and now it's targeting the swing point highs, and that number on the weekly is 11.8. you're trading at about 11.3, almost 11.4. So another 2.5% if it wants to make the run. The ECB is on Thursday. This thing keeps grinding higher into the ECB. That certainly looks to me like that's setting up some sort of a sell the news event once that news actually hits. If we look at France, France pushed pretty decent volume compared to the swing point high, just a little bit lighter, but it's up here hanging at the highs. Looks like it's going to try to make a run for the highs. If you do the ABCD structure here, that does project right up into those highs, and so I would be looking for this thing to actually just get over the highs, probably in time for the ECB. Again, sell the news most likely when that does finally print. If we look elsewhere, there's just not much else to say. The one thing I would do is look at the dollar, because the dollar just keeps creeping higher. Today was just barely inched out another new high up there. If I look over at the FXE, this thing just can't get off the floor. And again, with the ECB on Thursday, they just keep selling it into that news. And if you look at it here on the weekly, we talked about this last night. It's targeting that low. That low is 102.92. You're trading at 103.49 now, so you're halfway there compared to last night, getting very close to making that test right in front of the Thursday ECB numbers. And that's about it. My take here tonight is you're probably going to see these markets grind back higher again. I don't see anything that changed anything. I was talking to folks in the trading room today towards the end of the day and said, this just looks like an ordinary small pullback consolidation, and I don't see anything wrong with it. And when I look at the charts tonight, I don't see anything wrong with them either. So that's it for tonight. Thanks for joining me. You have a great one. I'll see you next time. Good night.